Kendrick Lamar and Lil Durk are way more connected than most people would think. I've been working with the youth of New York City for many years now. And why I'm hopeful that Kendrick Lamar's success will be the genesis of a new direction for hip hop. This is the Listen Show. So 2013 was a wild time. I'm slowly, finally transitioning from downloading MP3s and all that shit to streaming. And I'm working in Harlem with some young adults and some youth, some middle schoolers. And I'm having music conversations, a lot of music conversations, because I'm teaching about hip hop, right? So, young adults, we'll call him Jack. Jack puts me on to Kendrick Lamar, specifically Good Kid Mad City. This is Kendrick's second album at this point after Section 80, though there's possibly mixtapes before that. Again, go back to the tag, I don't research. So I'm intro to Kendrick, and wasn't really feeling the album if the first couple of times I listened to it. At the same time, one of the kids will call him Pippin. He broke down the difference between trap music and drill music to me, because we talking to young people. You gotta get into their world and see what their interests are. So he's putting me on, and he's letting me know about the artists that he's listening to. It's like, yo, you got like Lil Herb, now known as G Herbo, Lil Durk, Chief Keef. I'm like, these guys, no, I don't know. This is the era like kids are talking that reckless, like, yo, Chief Keef's the best rapper ever. He's better than Big. He's better than Tupac. I'm like, y'all are nuts. They're explaining to me the drill is, about murder and shit. Trap is about selling drugs. And so I'm like, wait, y'all like music about black people killing black people? Like, yeah. I'm like, no thanks. So, mostly on principle, I didn't listen to drill music for years. I didn't consume that kind of content because, again, like, I don't want to listen to stories about Black Death. That's not what was good for my headspace, right? But I'm a hypocrite. Remember that, because we're going to get back to that. So after about 3 listens, I stopped listening to Good Kid, Mad City, and then I get into conversations about it with other music lovers. About how great it was like, nah, it's terrible. They're like, no, really, dude? I'm like, yeah, that shit was mid. That shit was hot ass. Like, this was my ignorance at the time, right? So eventually, I go back to it, and I, gain a lot of appreciation. Good Kid is in my top 5 albums. Drill, I don't get to until 2020. And I specifically don't get into drill until I hear Wayne on King's Disease 1 with Nas, my favorite MC of all time. And Wayne's verse was really not Wayne, excuse me. Durk's verse was really touching to me. There was pain behind those bars, and like it sounded like somebody that was really a man really caught between healing and hurt, right? So I start getting into drill, getting into Durk, really get into Vaughn. Start liking a little bit of G Herbo stuff. Start expanding, get into Brooklyn drill, Pop Smoke. Start messing with 5V, Rowdy. Okay, so fast forward to 2024. You've got we see Durk pivot towards not dissing the dead, towards he had the big peace concert on his birthday in Chicago with the mural towards everybody who had passed away. And then he was incarcerated, arrested, and charged for being an alleged kingpin involved in murder for hires, allegedly. It's up to the courts for them to prove or not. Um, and I think that people have to be careful with their words when they talk about Durk, because we're not talking about somebody that we know did something. We're talking about somebody who was charged and arrested and is awaiting a trial in 2025. And we don't know if that person's gonna end up beating those charges, or if they're gonna get a lesser charge or whatever that is. So we gotta wait for the process to play out. At this point, those are charges and allegations, and we don't know what he's done. And thoughts and prayers to his family, and peace to them, and blessings to them, and all the love in the world and strength that they can get. True, right around the same time, you've got Kendrick going on this just massive return to beefing and creating like the greatest diss moment of all time with the Not Like Us fucking moment of the summer. Follow that up with GNX in the fall, and continuing just the trajectory of trying to change and save the soul of hip hop. The fact that it's become profitable for young black and Spanish kids who may or may not have a lot of talent rapping, or may not be the best, most lyrical people, to go out there and make a living off of talking about serious situations and murders that either they or their friends have committed, leads to a lot of unnecessary fallout and death. You have this story out of Philly with this young man who was murdered in front of his mom on his way to school, who was allegedly wearing a Joker mask in the video, rapping about shit his friends were getting into, dangling what may or may not have been real automatic weapons. Shout out to Wayno, because he had a really powerful, Wayno, I'll do it myself. He had a really good video on this topic, talking about drill and just how destructive it is. But ultimately, and me as somebody that works with the youth, I could say to you that a lot of young rappers, they're who may be street affiliated, a lot of them are encouraged to rap that way, to get into that genre and pick up either stories or the experiences to be able to say these things on wax. Because now that Kendrick's generating all of this attention towards being lyrical again, I love that we're getting back to regional hip hop and people just rapping about having skill, and like skill being the measure and the metric. And I'm hopeful that this moment can carry for a while, and I really hope that Kendrick's going to keep the momentum going the way that it is, and that more and more artists rise up, like the responses to Joey Badass, The Ruler's Back. I love what Ray Vaughn did. I love all the responses from the West Coast. First time I heard the name Ray Vaughn, I was like, "What? Where's the fucking nigga from Summertime writing diss records? What the fuck?" Summertime with Shaggy. Either you gay or the fuck you fucking don't. Fuck off. But nah, the Ray Vaughn record, it was to me the best of the responses so far. Heard Ray Vaughn with Shaggy. Maybe my editor will put it on the screen. $1 billion industry sprung up around Black Death, and thus far, FBG Duck's mom's the only one that's suing them, is a little telling. I'm hopeful more and more black mothers and fathers and sisters whose children were caught up in this movement and murdered as a result, sue the fuck out of every record label that made a dime off of their children's ops music. It's also why I'm hopeful that, that I'm keeping my eye on this Drake lawsuit, but that's for another video possibly. Deeper than my hopes for the future, like you look at Kendrick and Durk, and I see two kids who they're not too far apart in age. Kendrick's 87, Durk's 91, so Kendrick's a senior in high school while Durk's a freshman. You know what I mean? Um, they both have family roots from Chicago. Both of their families are street affiliated. Durk's dad obviously rose to a higher rank within and was a millionaire, really close and connected to Larry Hoover, according to his, what's out there. And in his absence, Durk's being raised by his mom with his brother and sister, and he's in the community. He's of his community. He's getting involved in shit the kids get involved with. Kendrick's parents are also, street affiliated. He's got families that gang bang, all of that shit, if you're to believe his music. And his dad ends up working at a local chicken spot, which is, legendarily how his dad ends up meeting Top and how all of the connection with TDE begins and how we have this artist that we have now, right? I guess they be growing up at the end of the crack era, so it seemed like the tail end of it, the 96-ish era. But it's also your man Clinton and the, what act was it? What the fuck was the name of that act? Editor put it on the screen. And the act where they called super predators, and they made it so that the dad couldn't be in the house if you were collecting welfare. So you're talking about two kids who grew up with friends who grew up fatherless for the most part, and you had all these fatherless young men and out here hurting and trying to figure it out. They both lost friends to the street. The difference is, it would appear, is that Kendrick's guidance led him towards putting all of that pain into his music, and his music was divorced from the activities of his friends and the shit that he was, it doesn't appear that he got it as deep as Durk did. And if he did, he never made music about being that deep. Kendrick's rapped about, losing people, about Dave dying in his arms, and talked about his friend's brother dying while he's on tour. You know what I mean? So, but what we've never heard from Kendrick is talks about getting vengeance on them back. He talked about fucking the baby moms of his op while he was locked up. Now that shit was demonic. On If These Walls Could Talk, like that shit was fire, right? I'm hopeful that as a result of all of this shit with Kendrick, like drill becomes less cool. And I'm also hopeful that this lawsuit with Drake makes it so that more mothers of slain drill artists will sue every motherfucking record label out there that made a penny out of stoking gang fires and defaming their parents' name. Like, bro, like Tuka's mom should sue every fucking record label there is out there. Like, they made her son's name sound like marijuana. Like, that shit is fucking nuts. Regardless of what you may believe these young people did in the time that they were alive, like, the fact that you incentivize young black and Latin people out here to make music about actual murders that are going on and people that they've killed and mentioning their names in songs. So now, if God forbid, my little cousin, my uncle, my aunt, my you know what I mean, my friend from seventh grade, like, you know what I mean, like, now I done tangented away from my point. What I meant to add is that these are the people that have to listen to the records and be taunted by them by your enemies and rivals who are still alive. And the the profitability of drill music made murder for clout a thing. You know what I mean? Like murder for clout was always a thing. Like I don't want to make it seem as if I'm not that naive. Like a lot of people commit murders and have committed murders so they can brag about committing murders. You know what I mean? I guess it exacerbated it the same way the internet in general exacerbates everything. But you made it this far. Let me know what you think in the comments. Put in a fist if you made it this far. That way I know that you're one of those views that made it down there. Let me know if I'm on the money with my connections between Durk and Kendrick or if I'm just high, drunk, and bugging. Either way, I'm gonna go guzzle a Guinness and ruin somebody's public image. All right, peace.